Most people believe their vulnerabilities are private, hidden away from the world, but the truth is far darker. Skilled manipulators have a way of spotting weakness like a predator sensing vulnerability. It doesn't matter if it's insecurity, fear, or a desire to be liked. These are all doorways. Once someone identifies a weakness, they can subtly influence your decisions, actions, and emotions, often without you realizing it. Today, I'll show you how people exploit weaknesses psychologically, and more importantly, how awareness can make you harder to manipulate. I used to think exploitation was obvious, someone bullying, coercing, or pressuring. But emotional and psychological exploitation is rarely that visible. It's quiet, subtle, and insidious. People exploit what you don't even know is a vulnerability, your empathy, your self-doubt, your need for approval. By the end of this video, you'll recognize how weaknesses are identified and leveraged, and you'll learn how to protect your mind, emotions, and choices. You'll begin seeing human behavior in a way few ever do. Humans are naturally wired to connect, to trust, and to seek approval. Manipulators exploit these innate tendencies. They observe, test, and identify patterns that reveal insecurities. For example, if you are highly empathetic, they might use guilt or emotional appeals to influence you. If you fear rejection, they may exploit that to get compliance. The psychology is simple. Once an emotional lever is discovered, it can be subtly activated to guide behavior. This works because the brain prioritizes emotion over logic. Weaknesses aren't failures, they are natural traits, but without awareness, they become leverage points for others. Skilled manipulators rarely need aggression. They rely on subtle influence that feels natural. In the workplace, a colleague may notice you fear confrontation. They might assign tasks unfairly, framing it as a favor, knowing you'll accept without protest. In friendships, someone might exploit your loyalty, asking for favors or forgiveness repeatedly, even when it inconveniences you. Romantic relationships can be equally revealing. A partner might identify your fear of being alone and use it to control your choices or decisions. Even casual social interactions exploit weaknesses. People read micro-reactions, tone, and body language to assess vulnerabilities, adjusting their behavior to influence you. These examples show that exploitation is not always dramatic. Often it's invisible until patterns emerge. Fear of rejection, low self-esteem, desire for validation, and empathy all create points of vulnerability. Manipulators. Observe your responses, testing which emotions can be activated. Subconscious reactions like anxiety or guilt signal what is effective. Social conditioning amplifies this. We are trained from childhood to avoid conflict, to please others, and to value social acceptance. Exploiters use these internalized rules to influence behavior subtly. You overthink, analyze, and try to figure things out. This is why unclear communication can feel so powerful. It keeps you mentally engaged, trying to decode intentions. The more you chase clarity, the more control you give away. Third, control through emotional triggers. Every human has emotional patterns, triggers that create strong reactions. When someone understands what makes you react, they don't need to control your actions directly. They influence your emotions, and emotions drive behavior. Imagine a workplace where a manager never clearly tells you where you stand. One day they praise you, the next they seem distant. You start questioning yourself. Did I do something wrong? Am I good enough? Without saying anything directly, they've shifted your mindset. You move from confidence to uncertainty. Now imagine a relationship where someone gives you intense attention in the beginning. They make you feel special, deeply understood. Then slowly they pull back, not completely, just enough. You begin chasing that initial feeling, trying to get back what you once had. But that version of them may never have been consistent. It may have been a psychological hook. In friendships, this can appear as subtle guilt. Someone might say, "I guess I'm not that important to you." They don't demand your time directly, but they create emotional pressure. You respond not because you want to, but because you want to remove the discomfort. This is how control hides, not in commands, but in emotions. So why does this work? Why are humans so vulnerable to these patterns? First, the need for belonging. Humans are social by nature. Rejection once meant danger, isolation, even survival risk. So your brain constantly checks whether you're accepted. Anyone who can influence that feeling can influence you. Second, the fear of loss. Losing approval, connection, or status feels more painful than gaining something new feels rewarding. This makes you react strongly to even subtle threats of loss. Third, cognitive dissonance. Your brain dislikes contradiction. When someone treats you well and then poorly, instead of seeing inconsistency clearly, you try to explain it. You might blame yourself or justify their behavior. This allows the pattern to continue. Control becomes effective because it doesn't feel like control. It feels like you trying to make sense of reality. So how do you protect yourself? Not by becoming cold or distrustful, but by becoming aware. Notice emotional spikes. Whenever someone makes you feel a sudden strong emotion, pause and ask why. Separate actions from interpretation. Focus on what people consistently do, not what they occasionally say. Reclaim your internal validation. The less you depend on others for your sense of worth, the harder it is for anyone to control you. And finally, get comfortable with uncertainty. When you stop needing constant clarity from others, you stop chasing their approval and start trusting your own judgment. Here's the truth most people miss. The more someone tries to control others, the less control they have over themselves. True power is internal. It's emotional stability, self-respect, and the ability to walk away without needing validation. Once you understand this, you stop feeling intimidated by others and start seeing them clearly. Control is not always loud. It doesn't always look aggressive. Sometimes it looks like kindness, attention, or concern. But beneath it, there can be intention. Once you understand the psychology behind it, you start seeing patterns everywhere, not with paranoia, but with clarity. And that clarity changes everything. Because when you truly understand human behavior, you don't just protect yourself, you evolve mentally, emotionally, and psychologically. And from that place, no one can quietly take control of your mind again.